What is up, next gen fam? How we doing?
I'm about to explode with energy. The guest that is going to be on, I mean, we should do some background before we even get into, I don't know. But Dylan, you feeling like beyond hype right now? Is this going to be like one of the craziest conversations of all time?
Justin, two things. One, this guest, insane. Number two, it's been 2 weeks since you and I have been here doing the energy's been
see you, man. It's good to see you. How was your break, man? You look good, clean shaven,
man. Yeah, appreciate you. You got the nice trim, you got the haircut going.
It's coming together, man. It's coming together. We're still in quarantine, still out here, still doing our thing every day. 6 years later, you know what to expect of us. 6 years from now, we're in the lab every day. Keep it up.
We want for nothing. We are so blessed. A lot of it because of the individual who is gracing us with his time in about 30 seconds or so.
Absolute beast. I mean, there are so many people that the list of shout outs is too long to even go over for how many people. Shout out Grandma Rose. I know that you're on this. Huge shout out to you. Shout out the Mams as hell, Mom and Kira, who send their love for not being able to be here with this legend, the Catalyst. Dylan, who are you shouting out just because of the blessing that we've been received with this guy, next gen? Shout out Pager, Pagey Wagey, huge Page fan.
Pagey Wagey. I got to give a shout out to Overliable. Also, I know she's tuning in. Mom, love you. Thanks. Let me steal your office here. Also, I got three more for you. Quick hitters here. Paul McNeil, Jordan Gross, Sivana Brewer, all of which in my email inbox, as Rachel likes to say, I'm in your inbox. They're coming in. More cooking in the studio. Shout out.
A great squad. Huge. This on infinite shout outs. And as the segue shout out to Carol Ergang, one of our advisors for quite a while, who blessed us with the introduction to this incredible gentleman that we're about to welcome on. Dylan, let's get to it. I'm like bursting with energy over here. I can't wait.
I'm literally going to have to stand up at some point soon. So, Paige, can we please bring in Mr. Momentum Catalyst, Rich Keller, to the next gen stage? Let's do it.
Oh my God.
Rich
Keller, welcome to Live with Next Gen HQ. How are you today?
Why can't my kids do this every morning? Come on. Come on. This is my point. I'm not feeling the love in this house, but boy, I am here.
We're going to ignore those comments and get right into it. Rich, thank you so much for being here. We're pumped to have you. Everybody in the Next Gen community at this point knows of the man, the myth, the legend, one word catalyst, Rich Keller. But where we want to begin is taking us a little bit back. Paint a picture for us. In 2017, 2018, were you the one word catalyst man wearing the buff that everybody knows today, or were things a little bit different? Take us back so we can get into your journey of how you became who you are now.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. This is really great. I am very grateful to be here. My journey, it was very different. I was not wearing this buff up until I'd say the fall of 2017. I always like to start by just saying to, I guess, your listeners and viewers that I woke up at 26 years old with testicular cancer. And I think that one of the things that really did for me was it made me wrestle with the question, how do I want to be remembered, much earlier than most people. And the truth is, I always wanted to make an impact on people's lives, but I didn't have the courage or the know-how to do it. I mean, that's really what I was sort of in the graduate college, get a job, go make your life happen. And I turned 50 in 2017. And I did something pretty radical that I don't recommend most people do, but it's the way I roll. I quit my career on the spot. I was getting a performance review one day, and it was really not what I expected. And it was at that moment that I realized that I can do two things. I can accept it and move on, or I could change the game and start driving my own car. And I literally got up and closed the door. And I made a deal with my CEO to leave on amazing terms. But I have to tell the two of you, I didn't know the two of you then, if I called both of you and said, I'm going to walk away from my career and just, give it all up. And I have a kid going to college pretty shortly and another one in high school. You probably would have guided me to do something different. But the truth is, I didn't want to be a cookie cutter marketer anymore. That's really what it was about. But I came home that night. I told my wife. I hadn't told anyone. I mean, I did it on the spot. And her response, I'll never forget. She said, "Congratulations. Now go change the world." And I'm like, "You're okay? What?" And she's like, "Yeah, you've always wanted to do something different. We'll figure it out." And I'm like, but we may have the roof cave in. She's like, we'll move. Like, she's like, stop making the excuses that you've been making, which is really the truth. And I spent most of my adult life believing one thing, that my identity was caught up in two things. One, my career, and two, being a survivor. And we all are caught up in that in terms of our job. Like, we lose a job and then we don't know what to say to people because we feel like we're a loser. We don't have a job. We don't have a title. And I bought into that for so long until I did one thing after I left. And I spoke to a lot of friends and mentors, and I was in therapy at the time, and I defined my purpose. And I always thought purpose was ridiculous. Like, I always thought, like, what's this why? Like, so what? And I literally sat down one day while I was thinking about what I was going to do next. I had no idea what I was going to do, guys. And I want everybody to know at this point, there was no plan other than what's going to happen next. And I wrote my purpose, and I broke it down to one statement that really changed for me the game. And it's simply to help young adults reach their goals and dreams quicker than I did. And you don't just snap your fingers at that point and make it happen, but it really gave me the roadmap to start beginning to think, well, how can I change lives? How can I make people be different than they are today? And one thing that really happened was, true story, I thought back to 2 years before that moment when I quit my career, and I remembered helping my son get into college. And I asked my son one simple question that really, at that moment in my kitchen, when I thought about how I was going to bring this purpose to life, I remembered that conversation with him where I asked him one simple question: tell me about yourself. And he could not answer that question. And all he did was tell me the things he did. He didn't know who he was. And it was that moment in my kitchen when I started thinking about this purpose that I realized what I did for my career for 25 years was literally help brands figure out who they were. And I helped companies think differently about the brands that they worked on. Now, I want your listeners to understand, I worked on some pretty amazing brands: Planters Peanuts, Godiva Chocolate, the Oreos of the world. I mean, so these are not brands that nobody knows about. And what I did was I helped companies think differently about the products they were selling. And it was that moment when I realized I'm going to help people think differently about who they are. Because I've learned one thing in 25 years of marketing, and I tell this to the two of you all the time: your product is not your brand. Your brand is what I call your core value, which is one word. And when I say one word, it's literally, what are people buying from you? So at that moment, literally, I had this idea to transform 1 million lives, one word at a time. But as we talked about, I had no idea how to do that until literally one morning. One morning changed my whole life, and you guys know what it is. I saw a Facebook post for Next Gen Summit. It is now around November 2017. And I saw this post by Carol Ergang's daughter, Emily. And she basically said, if you don't go to this summit as a millennial or Gen Z, you are missing out on life. I'm being nice. It's not really what she said, but you get the point. And true story, I started reading about the summit and then this guy named Justin. And I realized you went to Penn. And that afternoon, on a whim, I called my son's best friend who's at Penn. And I said, do you happen to know this guy, Justin Lafazan? Probably ridiculous, right, Gideon? And he goes, no, I know him. He went to the same camp as your son, and he went to the same sleepaway camp I went to. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And he asked for a connection, and I called Carol and I said, make a connection, thinking you were never going to call me, Justin. Why would you call me? I mean, I'm nothing. I'm nobody. And within 10 minutes, you responded in email, and we got on the phone a couple of weeks later. And I said to you what I tell all my clients now and what people say every day: just muster up the courage to ask. And I asked you if I could speak at your summit the following summer with no idea what I was going to say or do. And I remember you asked me to tell your story. Tell me about you. And I told you about this crazy one-word idea, and I quit my career. And you said, I'll never forget, it was silence. You quit your career over this? And I said, yeah. I walked out. I want to change lives. And you said you were going to call me back. And I literally turned to my wife, Sharon, and said, there's no way this guy's going to call me back. Why would he call me? He probably thinks I'm ridiculous. And you called me 4 days later. I didn't even know Dylan at this point. I don't know what you said to him, but you invited me to speak. And it was now January 2018. And boy, did I hustle for the following summer. And I hired a team. I went to motivational speaking school. I did a video. I did a website, all because you gave me truth story. You gave me my very first speaking gig. And I showed up in the summer of 2018. I just met the two of you for the first time. I had no idea anything about you other than phone calls. And I thought I was going to be done after that weekend. Like Monday morning, I told you so. This isn't going to work. Start looking for another job. And not only did people come up to me after the summit when I spoke and asked me, can you help me discover my one word? Which, by the way, I didn't know how to do at that point because it was all in my head. But I had this massive revelation at the summit that I've told the two of you about. I could not believe watching the two of you in action. The insight to me was that the entrepreneur is the brand. The two of you are the brand. And the two of you were so dynamic that weekend, and people were like captivated by the two of you. And I remember on my way home from the train saying, I want to help these guys take their summit and turn it into a full-fledged 365-day brand by literally, in my head, taking your one word, the two of you, and making it the identity of your business venture. Because at that moment, I realized Howard Schultz did that with Starbucks, with community. Steve Jobs did it with Apple and simplicity. Sarah Blakely did it with Spanx and confidence. And I thought, why can't Next Gen Summit become Next Gen? And we figure out this one word, and then I help you guys figure out what you're selling. But I had no idea how to do this because I didn't know you guys anymore. I left the summit, you guys were moving on, and I did it again. I called you guys a couple of weeks later. I said, meet me for lunch. And I said, I'm going to come get you because I didn't believe that you guys would show up. Not because I didn't trust the two of you. I didn't trust myself. I didn't think I had the confidence to like ask you guys if you could spend a couple of, weeks with me. And I did it at the lunch. And you guys, I remember this, like you both looked at me like I had 20 heads. I remember Dylan saying to me, we already have a brand. We have a community. That's our word. We have a Facebook group. And I'm like, it's fine. But then you guys said something to me, and I hope your moms are listening. You both said, nobody really knows what we do. Like, I said, do your moms know like can they describe to their friends? No, they can't. And you also then said to me, it takes us about 30 minutes to tell a brand partner or 40 minutes to tell a brand partner what we do. And I said, are you kidding me? It should take 3.5 seconds. And I give you guys more credit than myself at that point because you guys said, you know what, let's work together because I offered it complimentary. I wanted to thank the two of you for opening that first door because that revelation of the one word to the entrepreneur is what made me realize that I've already been doing this for 25 years with brands. I'm just going to pivot to people and help people marry to their venture and make their venture a brand, because on day one, your venture is not a brand. You have to nurture it like a parent does with their kid by putting that core value in. And so we worked together for 8 weeks. We came up with your one word. Everybody knows it. It's momentum. And I remember we got to Philadelphia the January of 2019, and I shared the entire brand foundation of what I thought you guys sell. Because this is the thing, the one word is what you sell. Brands give away what they sell, and the winners are the heroes, in this case, the young entrepreneurs. And I remember the moment in Philadelphia when we got together, I felt like, first of all, you guys gave me the confidence to be able to do this. And number two, I just felt like this can be a $1 billion brand. Let me say it again, $1 billion brand. And here's why. Justin, you say this to me all the time. Oreo, one cookie, $1 billion brand. That's it. One cookie built on connection. And I truly believed in what you're doing. I still do. I always did. And the fact that you gave me this gift to be able to help you take this one word, which, as you both know, was a process. It didn't happen overnight. We had to learn and grow together on really absorbing what that one word meant. But today, I couldn't be more excited to be a part of this. I am never leaving. I'm in. And really what I do right now as a final summation of landing my plane is I want to help entrepreneurs take their personal brand, this core value, marry it to their business venture, and go create your own $1 billion brands. Because if you know what you sell, that's people are buying the after your brand. When they leave a summit, You're selling momentum for people to be able to keep going. And your brand happens after they leave you. Just like when you buy Oreos, after you leave the supermarket, you connect with your kids over twist licking or dunking. That's the insight for entrepreneurs. What you sell is after it happens. And that's my story.
Rich, you are. We could stop there, and that could be the line with Next HQ for the week. You are so special to Justin, myself, to our company, our whole team. I want to put you on the spot a bit and say, Rich, you know the audience we're talking to. Early stage entrepreneurs, getting out of bed, chasing their dreams, overcoming every obstacle, you name it under the sun, right? So there are a bajillion things going on when you're building a company, Rich. For Justin and myself, obviously, brand was maybe not the first one we thought of. Maybe it took 3 years, perhaps, right? Talk to me about why, as an early stage entrepreneur, amongst the million challenges that stand in my way, why brand is something that I need to be thinking about from maybe not day one, but day two.
I love it. Here's the reason why. A couple of things. You sell products, you engage with brands. You have to engage with a brand. People will come to me and say, I have a brand, my logo, my product, my tagline, everything tastes great. Okay. And while that's beautiful, that's window dressing. And so I say a couple of things. If you take away one thing from today, people buy human connection. That's it. This is why advertising works. Why somebody looks at a commercial and says, I'm going to go buy that product because that's me in the commercial. So if you're an entrepreneur and you don't tell your story, I can't connect. There's two things that happen. You have to gain the credibility and then emotionally connect. Well, the way you gain credibility is, and we've talked about this, what do the two of you want to give every young entrepreneur out there? Freedom. Freedom to design the life they want to live. Well, guess what? That's what the two of you are looking for. So if you get up on stage and you share that, it's like me getting up there and saying, I don't have a one word, don't ask me. It would be inauthentic. When I share how I got to my one word or I share my story, people are locked in. Now, how do I get there? So if people see that you're having the freedom to design the life you want to live and you know what's in the way and you've been able to develop this brand called Next Gen, I want to be a part of that. So they bought the two of you. I get this all the time from entrepreneurs. Well, I may want to sell my brand in the future. Okay, go sell it. But 15 years from now, when everybody knows that Next Gen's about momentum, you can pull away and go do other things. But on day one, you do not have a brand. You have a venture. And so the other thing I say to people is, and this is what people get wrong on brands, be the guide, never the hero. The whole point of branding is to get up and give it away. And so if you don't know what you're giving away beyond the product, how are you supposed to know what people are buying? I'm not buying the Oreo cookie. I'm buying the connection with my kids. So when we work together, people leave the summit to have the momentum to keep going. Like I'm already saying this with like my heart pounding, to have the momentum to keep going and come back to you when I need an energizing push. That's what you're selling. So what I say to people is, without a brand foundation, and you have a product only, at some point a competitor is coming in and they're going to be cheaper or better. And if you don't have that emotional connection to the two of you to want to really stay in your world because we believe what the two of you are doing because you're doing it as well, that product that comes next can't win because the difference between the two are the people that brought it to the world. So I always tell people, you sell products, you engage with brands. If you don't engage first and if you sell first and engage second, you're not going to have a long-term game. That's called the sprint. If you engage first and sell second and stick it out, that's the marathon. And that's why we pay $800 for an iPhone. $800, no discount. No discount, because it delivers simplicity to my life and I'll pay whatever it takes to be simple.
There is a true tribe of people who are behind Rich and his message and Next Gen as well. And I want to shout out so many in the comments who are just going ballistic for Rich's guidance and mentorship. Jenna and Christian and Emma and Remy. And so many of the great young leaders on our team have gotten the experience to learn from Rich. And Rich, I want to ask you something that I've asked you a long time ago, which is, as a founder, oftentimes we are uncomfortable leading with our own personal brand, twining that with the brand of the organization. A really great example is, Dylan and I we are absolutely unequivocally building this brand for us. We are doing next gen because we are looking to design the lives that we want to live. We are trying to be entrepreneurs. We are trying to have that freedom. And then we're just trying to, as we learn and build along the way, like, hey guys, come join us over here. Like we're on this together. And that is what we're trying to do. But at the very beginning of our journey, Dylan and I are 6 years in and absolutely just getting started. We absolutely were thinking, we're not like, I don't want to say we don't think we're that cool, but we don't want to be in, it's not about us. It's about next gen. Like, don't look over here, look over there. And that was a huge thing that we were going through. So I'd love to hear what you would talk about to a founder who is thinking, do I really want to put myself out there? How do I make it about the product? And you have done such a great example of this in your own personal brand and your servant leadership mentality.
Yeah, I remember the many discussions with Dylan over, I don't want to be a part of this. This is not about me. And here, this is the insight. This is the insight. Be the guide, not the hero. This is the whole reason why, like, I'm a motivational speaker. I get up on stage. I had my mentors had to knock in my head. Nobody cares what you look like, Rich, because I was worried. I'm like, they're going to think my nose is big. They're not going to like my voice. Get up there and share your message. When that clicked with me, what I say to people is, you got to share enough of your story to lock them in and then give them the value. Because if I just got up on stage and said, hey, I got this great idea. You can have your personal brand in one word, core value, here it is, go make it happen. They'd be like, how did you come up with this? Why did you come up with it? Who are you to deliver this? I add a little bit of my story in to engage the audience. We all like to make friends with people that we like and that we trust, that we feel are part of our world. So I always say to people, number one, you drive your own car. You get to tell your story your way, but once you share, you can't pull back, number one. And number two, you tell enough of your story to emotionally connect and then give them the value. And I always say this, I want to be clear, I'm not saying Next Gen couldn't be successful without the two of you, but I'd like to have a summit without the two of you at the helm and see how that is different than the next day when your summit is there with the two of you at the helm. The difference of what you bring to the game, your momentum, your inspiration, your ability to want to help people as the guide when you get up on stage. I want to help people discover who they are and then help entrepreneurs marry that to their venture. When I share my story that I quit my career to do this, I see the audience go, what did you do? And they're not sitting there going, I'm crazy. They're saying, wow, this must be important enough. Okay, when I share that I'm a cancer survivor and then my wife is a survivor 17 years later, and I overcame that obstacle because I know my one word, they're like, well, maybe I should know mine. It's the story that brings them on the journey to say, well, maybe I should do this. Because if you just throw a product out there, it's not going to have the same cachet as the core value. And here, I'm going to give you the last example, because this one I share with all my clients, Spanx. Brilliant brand. If Sarah Blakely called the two of your moms and said, I have a pair of underwear to sell you for $80, they would both hang up that phone so quickly. Nobody needs an $80 pair of underwear in their drawer. But when Sarah Blakely calls the next day and says, I have confidence to sell the two of you for $80, and then she shares what she did, she cut out the pantyhose and then went on this jaunt to go figure, I'm in. Why? Because I just bought confidence. And that girl has so much confidence. I must, if I wear this product, I'm going to be confident too. If I come to your summit, I'm going to have momentum too. Game changer. So share enough of your story to be pitied on stage, because you don't want people feeling sorry for you. You want people to be inspired by you.
Rich, that is absolutely incredible. I'm looking at the comments here. So many folks resonating. Be the guide, not the hero. Shout out Christian, Bryce, Tim, Aruj, unbelievable. People who know you, they all feel this from you, that energy. Rich, you've addressed it maybe around and given a few examples. Momentum, obviously catalyst, your one word. Talk to us, if you will, about once that word is identified, how you can then start to leverage that, both for your own company internally, but also then to the world.
Yeah. No, this is, I'm going to give we're in the middle of a pandemic, unfortunately. I'm going to give the example of why I'm so passionate about this idea of core value. And shout out to Brian Wish, because he gives this analogy, because he's been through my program. He's a pathfinder. He has an incredible agency that helps people. He helps people craft their pathways to belonging. But he says all the time, I want you to imagine it's Christmas morning and you have a bunch of gifts under the tree. Okay. All those gifts represent either products or channels or ways of driving revenue, but they're all wrapped in one wrapping paper. Each of that wrapping paper is all the same. And that wrapping paper is your core value. And what do I mean by that? March 12th, the day we were thrown out of Convene and we all had our lives change. Okay. I remember when we spoke, you're not a summit. That's not what your brand is built on. Your brand is built on momentum. So when you know your core value, you can pivot so much easier because you drive momentum somewhere else. I'm a speaker. I'm not really a speaker. I'm a catalyst. I use speaking. So when speaking ended that day, I pivoted to virtual. I pivoted to my podcast that I'm launching. So what I try to explain to people is the core value, you're in the business of your core value. When somebody says, Justin Dillon, what business are you in? You're in the momentum business and you help entrepreneurs get the momentum they need. Here is what we do to do that. That's where the summit, the weekly roundup, and I want people to start thinking that way because your core value never changes. The channels or the products with which you distribute that, those change so that you're never dependent on your product or channel. Now, a couple of years before, maybe if we hadn't done this, you may have thought summit's over, we're done. A lot of people think that way, but if you get to the core value, the root of what you're selling and giving away, you're then able to say, okay, we can pivot because momentum happens in the roundup. It happens in the webinars we're on right now. It happens at summits. It happens because we give it to everyone the way we do, we get to decide. And that's what I mean by the pivot. It helps you pivot better because that core value never changes.
It resonates with me so deeply, Rich. And thank you for sharing those examples, because for us, when we were thinking about our brand, we were so frustrated in the early years because Dolan and I are like pretty big dreamers, like we have this vision for what Next Gen is going to be. And I don't want to say it's world domination, but it's, it's pretty big. And we are really excited. I mean, the projects we have in the lab, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot even wait to see what's going on. Shout out Chizzy, dropping in the comments there. So we were not just a summit. And then all of a sudden, everyone's just associating us with the summit. The summit was it was one of the first products and by far one of our most incredible ventures.
Absolutely.
For how we can deliver that momentum. Shout out David as well for, how we can deliver it to coming. But Rich, I want to talk about a lot of the folks that you're mentoring because while Dylan and I didn't have the brand foundation nailed down, what we did have really clear was where we wanted to go. Dolan and I, as entrepreneurs, chasing freedom. We want to be able to decide for ourselves. So we did have that North Star. You mentor so many young people. If you haven't signed up for Rich's One Word course, I would totally do it. We're going to drop a link in the comments. You should do that yesterday. I'll go to his website, check it out. You mentor so many young people. The young people who are coming to you and saying, Rich, I don't know what I want. How am I different? They're giving you that list of things to do. What does the conversation look like that you're talking to them? You mentioned your son as that example. How do you approach that conversation and get them started on that journey?
Yeah, well, it's in two ways. If you're not an entrepreneur, I do work with high school kids to, do their college essay, college kids to get through the first 7 seconds of an interview, and obviously entrepreneurs. It really comes down to, I ask them, do you want to be seen, heard, and valued? Like, we think we're not valued because I give the analogy, the GPS ends when you graduate college, and then all of a sudden you got to create your own map. And so many of us, what we don't do is take the step back. I didn't do it for years. My identity was caught up two things, being a cancer survivor and my job. But when I say to someone, do you want to be valued, seen, and heard? They're like, of course I do. And I said, well, can you tell me how that is right now? And they're like, I don't know. I don't have a job. And so that's the first element that we really talk about. And then when I work with an entrepreneur, what's really interesting is they'll tell me purpose-like things that they want to do, but they don't know how to connect it to what they're actually doing. And we're a good example when we all work together. Like, the freedom to design the life you want to live is so much bigger. You get up in the morning to make the world in a big way better, and then you use your promise, your product to do it. And what happens is they're talking to me as if they're running a multi-billion-dollar business, but then they say, I don't know how to do that. And what I understood from why I love working with the young generation is because I wouldn't expect you to understand that. You don't understand branding. But when you do, and you realize that your story's in your brand, and then I show them examples. Like I talk my next gen all the time, because I want people to understand that I'm not in this to make money. I'm in this to help people win, and then you make money. That's what I tell young entrepreneurs. Like, stop focusing on the product. What do you want to do in the world? Work yourself backwards and realize how your promise, your brand does it. When I'm done with them, the light bulbs go off. But I have a lot of work to do up front, because I got to first convince them that they need to understand the brand idea. You sell products, you engage with brands. And it sounds emotionally, I use the word foofy a lot. I don't, it's just a word, but that's where branding is. Branding's in the heart. Okay, so if you notice my buff is on, when I'm on stage, I thought in my head I was a survivor buff, because that's what I thought my identity was. It happens in your heart. Your identity's in your heart. Ask yourself the question, guys, why do you pay $7 at Starbucks for a latte with 90% milk and 10% coffee? Because you want to be a part of their community, and you want to spend the day there while you're in college, meeting friends, Wi-Fi, so on. You paid for that retail establishment. When you understand that, you won't talk about the coffee anymore. They use coffee to get you in. Of course, they know you're going to, if you're not a coffee drinker, you wouldn't go there. But when I tell people you just paid for the barista, they're like, I never thought of that. That's the leap I make on phone calls, or try to get them. And then, the rest is when people like you share the power you have now, and word of mouth. And I'm much more about getting people that have been through my program. That's why I give away a lot of my stuff for free, because I want people to experience it, and then the third person will pay me, the fifth person will pay me, because you're only as good as the people that know you. And if you wear a brand hat as an entrepreneur, and you realize that sampling in a store in Costco is because they want you to buy the product, get that same mindset, give it away, because when they see the value you gave away, they're going to come back and tell the next 3 people to come, and those people you're going to charge, because we need to make money, we need to make a living, of course.
Rich, absolutely incredible. You're asking the big questions, right? What impact do you want to have in the world? And what is the one word that's going to be part of your path there? The process, it might sound daunting if someone maybe listening for the first time is not familiar with your one word program. Justin and I, we had the luxury of going through it. I don't want to say for the first time, but perhaps one of your first times of identifying the one word for another team, another group, right?
Yeah.
Momentum. It worked out. You hit that one out of the park. 10 out of 10, Rich.
Dylan, before you say anything, you know why we hit it out? You know why we hit it out of the park? Because when we put it out there, your young entrepreneurs started responding to it. That's when you know you've won. They were the ones that were hashtagging it. We didn't do it, because they realized, yeah, that's what I am getting from this brand. But now we're building it in a way where we're telling them that. So I didn't mean to interrupt, but I want to make that point. No. When you nail it, you're going to know it, because your people, your customers are going to, that's why Oreo's $1 billion. Twist, lick, dunk, done. Like, you can't do that with a Chips Ahoy. It doesn't work. And so you nail it when you hit them in the heart, because you've done the work and you've spoken to your peeps. Go out and talk to your customers. Ask them, what are you getting from me? We knew that because we had a summit that we can watch for 6 years. And it just was a perfect storm that came together.
I could not agree more. As Hayden Humphrey in the comments, shout out Hayden, says, Rich Keller, living legend. I think that is the most exact, perfect phrasing for exactly what we're talking about here. Rich, I got to say something, though. When you first told me the Starbucks piece, I was a little bit like, whoa, how did I not pick that up? And then you would say the same thing for Apple and Disney and all these other brands. I'm like, oh my God, my whole life, it's been a lie, right? Like all these amazing aha moments. It's intimidating. So I could easily see myself listening in and be like, there's no chance I'm ever going to get my brand's one word. Like I'm not Starbucks. What do you say to that person, that young woman, that young man who is now dissuaded perhaps by like the aha height of this potential?
You know what I do sometimes? I'm just going to be honest and say it. First of all, when you tell me you don't think you can get there, game on. When you told me I couldn't run the marathon, 26.2 later, right behind me, finish line photo. You know what I do? I say to them, I'll give you your money back. Look, I used to laugh at the money back, Aaron. I'll give you your money back because and they say to me, how long will you spend with me? I'll spend as much time as you need because I'm not in it to take your money. So if you need more time, and in the end, if you're not happy, I'll give you your money back. And people go, you would? I go, 100%. I don't even cash my checks. I do not cash any money till I'm done with a client because I'm happy to, I don't want to be, I don't want my reputation to be tarnished. I'm in this to disrupt the way you think. If I don't deliver, then you're going to go tell someone not to work with me. I'll give you your money back. People are like, okay, I don't give them a chance to argue with me. I give it back. I haven't had to do that, thankfully, because I do spend the time. But I stand, when you look at all these coaches and consultants and all these courses out there, a lot of them say, oh, money back. I give you money back. I don't cash. In fact, don't pay me till we're done. Because I so believe that I'm going to change the way you think. And I did not know any of this when I quit that day. That's the whole irony. I went out and did it. Move and improve, MVP, get out there, put a product out. Don't wait as an entrepreneur. Listen to your audience, see what's happening on stage, see what people are doing. That's the only way to win today. Why? Because technology is way faster than we are. So get over yourself and just go. And that's what I really do every day. And I've refined 2 years later, my message so much clearer than 2 years ago when I joined. When I got to 2018 Next Gen, I didn't know what I was doing. Today, different story because I got out there and sucked on stage. And then the next one I was better and better than that. And that. Get out there and just keep going.
If you take away one lesson from this conversation, from every live with Next Gen HQ, it's get in the game. What are you waiting for? Get in the game. Get in the game. Get in the game. But Rich, I want to be honest. Dylan and I were super young, so I don't want to say it's easier for us to have this mentality, but it's in our core values. We make it all about the long game. It's taken us 6 years. Dylan and I were just in a great conversation with a team member who was, we're talking about sales. We're talking about sales and, what has come, what hasn't. And we're like, how do we get it going? And Dylan had a great answer. He's like, I'll tell you how we did it. I've just done this for 6 years now. So we just have a couple of more reps than you do. And for us, we are just getting started in such a big way. How do you think about the long game? How do you think about, you want to tell people get in the game, you want to tell people get your product out there, but Rich, you have to just get started again at 50 with a new brand, a new venture, a total new world. What was going through your mind and where did you find the confidence, the strength, the vision, whatever it might be to say, I'm going to make it about the long game. I don't care if I'm starting at 50, I'm all in on this thing and it's not going to be a cheap one thing. We're taking this to the moon.
Yeah. 2 things I would say. Number one, I am very blessed with a support system around me. There's no question. That's another thing I learned. You cannot do it alone, number one. Number 2, invest in yourself. If you have to put money down, I put a lot of money down. Why? Because I knew my return was going to be there because I had an idea. You can't do it alone. Yes, can you start with a small amount of money? 100%. But I'm talking the bigger, invest in yourself. And then the third thing is, which I said in the beginning, and I'll come back to it, when I hit that purpose statement of wanting to help young adults reach their goals and dreams quicker than I did, people will say to me, you spend so much time on the phone with people. I do a ton of free calls. I give a link out every time I'm on stage. Why? Because if I can help that one person, you just need one person to join in, and then they'll tell the next one, and they'll tell the next one. And for me, it's about my purpose. Like when this is going to sound crazy, I'm a catalyst. I'm wearing it on my shirt. I tell you guys this all the time. I know what I want people to do when I die. That's part of my program. What is your legacy? I want people to come with their one word on their shirt. And here's why. I grew up with no value. I grew up in a home where I was not valued. I discovered mine. I give it away now to help people. And I want to leave knowing that I did that. That keeps me going. And when you know your purpose, like the two of you with freedom, that's the push. You can't look at just your brand and product and say, am I going to sell another summit? That's not going to be that discussion anymore because it's about freedom. It's about, for me, it's about quicker than I did. And so I didn't get it until 50, and I want 20-year-olds to get purpose now. Because when you know why you get up in the morning, you're going to be able to change. You'll pivot. You're always going to be momentum, but your different gifts under the tree are going to change. And you and I, we all know it's coming. Those things would not have happened if we didn't have this momentum discussion, because we opened up our eyes together and realized I'm not selling a summit, I'm selling momentum. And so I stayed in my purpose. I truly, in my heart, can tell everyone, if you take one thing away today, even if you don't work with me, figure out your why and really understand that you have to nurture your future self. It's about nurturing. You're always investing. I reach out to, I speak to you all the time. I want to learn from you as much as you want to learn from me. I am so blessed to be in this ability to work with all of you and your young entrepreneurs, because I'm learning. I teach you, you teach me. If you have that mindset, I don't know it all, neither do you, but if we marry, metaphorically, we can all learn together. But I stick to what I say to everyone. I'm here to help you reach your goals and dreams quicker than I did. That's my why.
Rich, that is absolutely inspiring. I know that for Justin and myself, when we first unveiled round one of the company DNA, our core value, our momentum core values, understanding our why was not the number one addition, V1, but it's there now because it is so important to everything we do. We want to make relationships first. Great. You got to understand your why. You want to outwork others? Incredible. Understand why you're doing it in the first place.
That's right.
And you have shown us the key, the roadmap, if you will, to making this happen and to enabling everyone else to also get that momentum to keep going. Rich, I can't believe I'm saying this. We're coming to the end of our time already.
Guys, I could stay all day.
Same.
I could stay all day. We might have to run it back very, very soon. We will.
Yeah.
Rich, you know we love to ask this question, and it's something that us three have talked about in a different venue, albeit.
Yes, I'm being asked, yes.
What is something that gets you fired up about the next generation of entrepreneurs? We got the most incredibly talented young people out there watching this, tuning in, learning from a Rich Keller. What makes you feel like tomorrow is going to be a pretty dang good day to be around?
You know, because the internet has changed the game for everyone, because I just had this discussion with Jimmy, because people can start businesses at a young 12, 13, 14, what inspires me and why I love what I'm doing now, and I've never been happier, is because you can start a business really young. You don't know enough. And if you reach out to us, I always say this to you, your mentorship program is the sleeper hit. Why? We want to help. And entrepreneurs are like, I feel embarrassed to call this person. They're working. Call us. We want to help. And what I'm inspired about is, if I give you just one thing, one word, $1 billion brands are born with one word. If I can give you that with a little bit of brand foundation behind it, I'm going to be excited, number one, and meet my purpose. But number two, why would you want to spend 30 years figuring out how to do it when you can probably do it in maybe 2 to 5 as like a foundation? I want to help people do that. Why? Because I'm getting old and I want to be a part of the game. I told you guys, I called you, the courage to call you. I mean, really, really took a lot because I wanted to be in it. You got to be in it to win it. And so the reason I'm inspired is because we want to help the next generation. With the internet exploding, we didn't have that. So why wouldn't you want my help? And we'll figure it out. We'll work together. Don't let money get in the way. Give me value, I'll give you value. There's always a give and take. But I'm excited that I can add that one piece to help them at that age really start something that could be a long-term game.
There are 2 ways to get access to Rich Keller's mentorship. One is by being a part of the Next Gen HQ team, because Rich is an advisor for eternity, constant mentorship, constant guidance. But the second is to reach out to Rich directly. So Rich, where can folks who are looking to get in touch with you, what are the socials, the platforms, the websites, where can our audience find you?
Yeah, so you can go to my website, therichkeller.com, and I had to buy the in front of it because Rich Keller was taken. So therichkeller.com. Just go to LinkedIn, type in Rich Keller Catalyst. Everybody should put their one word as their one word in their bio. So Rich Keller Catalyst. And I'm days away from launching a podcast called The Catalyst Effect, where I am going to be showcasing the people like the 2 of you that I'm working with. Launch episode, Justin and Dylan. We're going to launch it right before NGS 2020 at home. And I'm really excited that I can now, in this next phase of being a catalyst, share the people off the stage that have worked with me and what they're doing. And I'm grateful that for the 2 of you that you decided to be my launch episode. So The Catalyst Effect coming soon.
Rich, we are so thankful for you. We are so grateful for everything you have done, you do every day for us, and will continue to do. We should probably let our viewers get back to building their own life empires. They could stay here all day and hang out.
I love you guys.
Thank you. Thank you for joining live.
Thank you.
Much love, Rich.
Love you.
As Jenna put it so well here,
Oh.
he truly is the Rich Keller. There is nobody like him. Rich Keller podcast, The Catalyst Effect. I mean, we're part of it. We're episode number 1. So I'm absolutely fired up.
We're invested.
What that's going on. Dylan, what are some of the key lessons that you have like really stuck with for Rich over the years, to the point where you're becoming you're a Rich Keller yourself?
Oh, I think I am a mini Rich Keller, and I think you are too, just breaking that out for you. One, that everybody who is on our team, everybody probably in the community has heard me say, you got to be the guide. We're not the hero. And that is so true in every aspect, whether it's a marketing campaign, a new product, this video show, right? It's about being the guide to help other people get a little bit closer. Jay, what about you? What's one takeaway for you?
Some of the biggest problems that I feel like I faced, was I try to make things super complicated. Like we get so ahead of ourselves. We need it to be super fancy and complex. And Rich, I love this line. 1 cookie, $1 billion. Oreo, keep it simple. You can create an entire brand for yourself or your company with 1 word. Keep it simple. Malachi, shout out to you. Rachel, shout out to you. It's exactly what it is. Simplify, and then simplify some more. Oreo, 1 cookie. It's 1 cookie. $1 billion brand. Keep it simple. Rich Keller, absolute legend.
We are so lucky to have him. And the best part about Rich, he is not just a brand advisor. He is a mentor. He is there for you if you're an entrepreneur or a individual in corporate America looking to grow still individually as an entrepreneur in your life, because it's life, right? Rich is such a diverse and such a instrumental piece of the Next Gen Toolkit. We are thrilled to have had him on today.
Absolute legend. Keep following us every week, live with Next Gen HQ. We're here Thursday afternoon, bringing to you the mentorship, that wisdom, that education, that inspiration, so you can, guess what, have the momentum. We're the momentum business, so you can keep going, stay in the game, get in the game, get in the game, get in the game. One takeaway from this conversation: get in the game. Whatever that means to you, make it happen. We're blessed to have you along with the ride, live with Next Gen HQ. This was dope.
Jay, we got to do a quick shout out before we end this. There is a special individual celebrating his 24th birthday today. Shout out to Adam Hornick, who is coming at you in Long Island right now. Adam is one of the first people to know about Next Gen HQ because he introduced the two of us. So Adam, we hope you're having a momentous birthday. Thank you for all you do.
Hornick, we love you, bro. Happy birthday. Credit for introducing these two guys. He is in the momentum business himself by default. Next Gen fam, much love to you all. Let's make some magic happen. Keep it up. Get in the game. Stay in the game. JLDG. See you next week.